Okay. Um, so you want to look right here? Otherwise, you're gonna look silly.
So the top one.
I don't know. Just those three little dots down there. Anyway, we are here in Costa Rica, and we are down here. My name's Shiloh. My name's Jason. This is Shiloh. We're down here in Costa Rica. We are looking for investment properties and trying to see if we can make this work. Shiloh lived here for a couple years, loved it, and we're down here to see if there's any investment opportunities to be had because things were a little bit slow in the States with COVID. Airplane flights were cheap, so we thought we'd come out here and take a look while the getting was good. And because of COVID, there's been a lot of restrictions on the travel, and so not a lot of people have been able to come down, and so they're Airbnbs were cheap. Everything was just a good deal right now. So anyway, we just stayed at this Airbnb last night because we were looking at doing possibly an Airbnb down here because that seems to be the way to make a little bit of money on these type of deals. We flew into San Jose, and it turned out that no, that's like the central city, but it turns out in that area, in talking with locals, the custom is to live in a place your whole life. It's kind of what we heard, and there's not a lot of transient nature to their culture. It's more of a buy a place and stay forever. And the only opportunity that I saw in San Jose, and again, this is just for the brief time we were there, was to buy a property on terms, which is very uncommon, by the way. A lot of people will either sell cash, and they do a lease option. We did hear about a couple of lease options, but the concept of a owner financing or a wrap was totally foreign to the people that we talked to, and they're actually semi-familiar with the real estate world. So that might be it's always an education process when you teach somebody about seller financing, because they don't they don't understand that you got to explain it in a certain way, like, hey, I'm going to be acting as the bank, I'm going to be giving you payments, and you eventually will own the house. And
an important part of the whole seller financing is to understand what the legality is in the either the state or the country. And the reason being is because in Arizona, at least, you can take over a property. You can have a property deeded to you and have it recorded and everything, and still have the person that was on the deed maintain the mortgage. And so that's usually taking property over subject to, or you can be the bank where you own a property free and clear, and then you can have somebody just pay you for the house, and they're paying you interest just as if you were a bank. Or you can have a property where you have a loan on it, and then you wrap that loan with the bank, but then you have them paying you, and then you're paying the bank, and you just kind of create a little bit higher interest. And so that's kind of how you earn the money, and they give you a down payment. And so that's kind of something that can work out, especially when it's just tough working with a lot of banks. And if you don't fit in the bank's square, then you're a lot of times out of luck when it comes to getting loans. So using some of that same creativity, some of that same knowledge, we're going to try to take that and apply it here in Costa Rica and see what we can do with it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the key, because from what we found in San Jose, at least, like a $50,000, what we would call a townhome in the States. I don't know what they call them here, but they're basically homes right next to homes that are connected. A $50,000 home is only going to rent out for around $300. So, to buy something on financing, and down here, the interest rates with the bank are right now currently between 8 and 12%, where in the States they're around 2 to 3 or 4, So if you're going to get a loan on $50,000, it's not going to cash flow in that sense. So getting creative, like Shiloh was saying, is I think really the way to do something down here. Now, we don't know if this is all legal. We're going to talk to a real estate professional today and kind of get some of the ins and outs. But a lot of people in the States think that doing a lot of that stuff is illegal. The subject twos, the seller financing, it's really not. I mean, you got to check with the different states that you're in. But I haven't heard of a state that it is actually illegal in. Not a lot of states like it. The attorney generals don't love some of these things, but as long as you do it correctly, and really what I find is it's about communication in the end. Mm-hmm. When you get a disgruntled seller or a disgruntled buyer, and somebody sues, which may inevitably is going to happen if you do a lot of these and you scale, but in the end, if there's good communication, good expectations, and the whole time,
and good documents,
yeah, you gotta have your documents in line. But if you have that, a lot of these problems go away, especially with the lease options that we do a lot of. We're very careful to tell them really well up front what it is and what it isn't. But what we're finding is now that we're out of the country, we're about 15 minutes outside of the major city. So we're like 15 minutes from the beach, 20
And
minutes
when
from
he
the beach.
says major city, he means a small beach town.
We haven't been there yet, but
I've been there.
there's services, right? There's
services.
there's a place where you can go, medical and food, right?
A lot of food.
So 15 minutes outside the city, which is really exciting to me as a foreigner coming here, realizing that, hey, within 15 minutes I can be to the beach, I can be to the grocery store. I kind of want to be away from everything. Whereas the locals, they want to be in town where the work is. And so they're not going to want to commute from a place like this. So the prices are drop off. The prices kind of drop off dramatically. And something like this, we're up in the top of a mountain, maybe it's like $10,000 for a lot. And, this home behind us is around 800 to 900 square feet is kind of what we're guessing. It's a little 2-bedroom bath, little 2-story, and it looks bigger because there's actually 2 units here. But just to build one of them, we're thinking maybe between 30 and 60,000 because the labor down here is quite cheap. The materials are a little bit more expensive. So you've got the cheap land, you've got the cheap labor, but the regular price on materials. So we're thinking we could be into something like this for less than 100,000. But again, this is just very cursory examination because we haven't really got into all this. But just on first blush, something like this, if we got it for 100,000, our cost in the States, and we could do some cross collateralization, like we could get a loan on something in the States at a low interest rate and take that money down here and not have any mortgage at all, but pretend that there's a interest rate of say 3 to 4%, and maybe that's our basis. But we'll come in and we'll do an Airbnb or something like that. That would be pretty easy to get, I think. I mean, one night stay here was $200. And we were happy to pay it. I think it was really neat. There was a couple things we didn't like. There was some mold in here, some things that we would do differently. We'd have some kind of dehumidification system or some kind of air filtration system that moved the air through the house, and because you don't want to have mold, that's just a problem waiting to happen.
Yeah, that's a bad review on Airbnb.
Yeah.
So that is the plan that we're looking at right now, and what I'd like. I'd like to be able to get a place that has a main house with several little guest houses around it and maybe a pool in the middle, and then have a family come and live in one of the guest houses as the groundskeeper, and they kind of manage all of the Airbnb, all of the people coming in and out, make sure that they're having a great stay. And that's really what I'd like, and I'd love to be able to have friends and family be able to come and visit me here. I've chatted with a lot of other investors about kind of some of these ideas and possibilities, and several of them have shown interest in maybe coming in and doing this together. So I think that might be one of the ways that we raise some money is we partner with a couple of different investors, and they can come down and just enjoy how beautiful it is, how peaceful, how the culture, the food, it's just amazing. So
one other thing, I talked to a buddy of mine that I grew up with. I mean, he's a buddy, he's older, he's my dad's friend basically, and he has a piece of land down here that he's owned since the 90s, and he's seen a lot of changes in the government and in the rules. One of the things that they're doing now that you have to be aware of is they're doing what we call in the States a transfer tax. And I don't think that's something that is here everywhere now, but it's definitely coming down the pipeline. It's being pushed through, and that's something that the direction that they want to go with this. So what that means is you sell a property, you're going to pay in the States, it's around, sometimes 3%. Sometimes it's up to 3%. Sometimes it's a couple $100. It just depends on your municipality. But, out here he's got this land, and that's how he's done it. He's gotten a bunch of investors to come in. This was back in the 90s. They came in, they bought a big chunk of land. They've got several hundred acres of common land, and then they've got 14-acre parcels kind of surrounding it. And, he's open to selling that to us, but I think that's probably bigger than what we want. It's already got well on it and things like that, but
it is bigger than what we want. And the other thing is, as we talked with one of the realtors down here, he asked where it was, and they said, so if it's out in that area, it may, you can get land out there for cheap, but the thing is, there's just really no infrastructure that's been built out there because some of the terrain really makes it difficult to build roads all the way out there.
The roads are rough out here. Like getting to this place, it's like steeper in the face of a cow. I'm from Montana and I'm used to steep stuff. The steepness wasn't too crazy. It was the fact that the roads weren't maintained, and there's a big V down the middle, where the water runs, and there were no channels for the water to go. There'd be a great dirt bike trail. I could hop on my bike and be right up it, but have 4 guys in a rental car, you need to really specify, you need a 4-wheel drive to get up here. And they actually had concrete paths for your tires to go on so you wouldn't slip. And that's the only way we got up here, because it was like, we were in the back of our seats. So infrastructure is huge out here. So that's something, if you are looking at investing out here, that's something that would be important to me. And if I were to do something like this, I'd want to have some kind of way to maintain those roads, whether it's somebody that I can pay on a yearly basis or quarterly basis to come and grade the road. And I really like what they did with the pavement, because that probably didn't cost a whole lot, but it stopped the erosion from happening, and you need a channel down the side. Anyway, just some minor tweaks. And I think even though it may be out in the country a little bit, I'm hoping we can find something. That's what I'm going for. My goal is to have something that cash flows, so we're going to have to get creative.
Something that cash flows, that's in a beautiful place that you can go to and just relax and disconnect,
right.
and contemplate the wonders of life.
Yeah, I don't see myself coming down here a ton, so it would be hard for me to want to just buy something outright, but something that cash flows that actually makes me money gets me excited about having a place to escape to if I want to. I woke up at like 5:30 and was looking out. There were some funky sounds coming out of that jungle. I don't know what they were. There was like, I can't even make the sound. I'll have to listen to the video and you tell me what the heck they were. But
probably monkeys. There's a lot of monkeys around here. Yeah. They could be howler monkeys.
Yeah, it sounded like something was dying.
Probably howler monkey.
Yeah, it was really cool though. It reminded me a little bit of Montana, and the fact that the fog is low and then it kind of rises up as the day gets on. So it's cool. Anyway, this is Costa Rica. All right, Matt, say hi.
Hi!
What do we got here?
We're at the top of the hills outside of Tamarindo at a property called Via Artemis.
It's gorgeous. My goodness.
This is probably close to a unique ocean view that isn't available in other spots in the ocean. We're at sort of, we're at the end of this road, and it's nothing higher.
This is the highest, best property, he says. So yeah, I'll take that view. I don't know if I can afford this one. Haven't heard the price yet, so we will keep you posted. But this is gorgeous. Oh my goodness. This thing is a really nice place.